Or maybe you noticed his giant orange bus parked outside the convention center. Of course, I'm talking about our leader, the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh. My friends, Jagmeet was elected leader just over 2 years ago. And you may recall that his first public address as NDP leader was to our 2017 convention in Toronto. Since then, he has been very hard at work, putting issues like universal pharmacare, real climate action, and meaningful reconciliation at the top of his national agenda. You know, I got to spend some time with Jagmeet in Burnaby doing some door knocking when he was running in the by-election, which of course sent him to Parliament for the first time. And at doorstep after doorstep after doorstep, I was amazed every time at his incredible ability to connect with people and how much he really cares about the struggles of the people that he meets. And also, of course, his strong commitment to making a difference in the lives of everyday people. We're lucky to have a fighter like Jagmeet on our side, and I'm glad he could pay us a visit in the home stretch of this election campaign. It's a huge privilege for me to introduce a great friend of mine, a great friend of ours, a great friend of all working people across Canada. My friends, let's give a huge CUPE welcome to Canada's next Prime Minister, the leader of Canada's NDP. Let's give it up for Jagmeet Singh, my friends. I can't dance, man. I can do a lot of things, but I can't dance. Everybody, let's hear it for Jagmeet.
Friends, I think we got to take that in for a second. I just got Mark to dance. That was awesome. Thank you, Mark. I love you too. Woo! Oh man, I'm thirsty now. Friends, thank you so much for giving me the chance to be here. Merci infiniment pour me donner l'occasion de partager quelques mots avec vous. Ça me fait grand plaisir et aussi honneur d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui. I want to... This is an awesome room, by the way. This is incredible. It's a lot of folks here. This is great. Before I go any further, I want to acknowledge that we're gathered on the unceded traditional territories of the Mohawk people, the Mohawk Nation. For me, reconciliation, not just a word. We can't just say it. anytime we recognize the territories that we're gathered upon, it's important that we also recognize the injustice that First Nations, Indigenous people have suffered historically and continue to face right now. And so, not only do we acknowledge the territories and the injustice, but we also commit collectively, all of us, to remedying that injustice. And for New Democrats, that means we would implement into law the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Au nom de 700 000 membres engagés et dévoués de SCFP, je veux commencer par remercier évidemment Mark Hancock et Charles Fleury pour leur leadership. Merci. Et je veux vous remercier aussi. Merci aux délégués syndicaux, trésoriers, représentants de la santé et de la sécurité au travail, et tous ceux et celles qui se battent pour améliorer la qualité de vie des travailleuses et des travailleurs d'une nation à l'autre. Merci. Notre équipe de candidates et candidats compte plusieurs extraordinaires membres au employés du SCFP et je suis très fier de ça. Je pense que la majorité d'entre eux sont en train de frapper aux portes et en ce moment. Mais je veux qu'on donne un bon applaudissement pour ces gens. Donc, on a Sharanjit Singh à Brampton, Chris Stephen dans Bruce Grey Owen Sound, Nick Milanovic à Hamilton, Angela McEwen à Ottawa, Dustin Innes à Richmond, Randy Anderson Fennell dans Delta, Laurel Collins à Victoria, oui, et ici à Montréal, mon ami et chef adjoint du NPD, mon ami Alexandre Bouleris. Friends, I want to talk a little bit about Ontario. A lot of our dear friends are facing a really tough time. We've got education workers and teachers that are facing some really massive cuts being brought in by Mr. Ford. Luckily, you should definitely boo to that, if you like. I want to acknowledge that the workers, the education workers of CUPE were able to get a tentative deal. That's great. Fought hard. But we got to keep in mind that things aren't over. Things are really tough, and the fights are going to continue. We know that with Mr. Ford, exactly like conservatives do, they are going to cut painful cuts to education and healthcare, and it's going to hurt. And so I really appreciate, I'm not surprised, but I really appreciate how CUPE is fighting back, and we stand with you in that fight, all of us together. Friends, the NDP and CUPE, we have a common mission. We have a plan to not only fight the cuts together, we also want to continue to fight privatization, wherever it is. Because we know that it is a threat to public services, it is a threat to working people, and we will always fight it. But my friends, it's not enough to just fight the cuts. It's not enough to just fight privatization. We also have a common mission to expand public services, right? We know that these are the services that workers count on. So we are going to commit to fighting hard, to supporting healthcare workers and long-term care workers. Make sure they have the funding that they need to take care of people. We're going to support the highway workers who do all the important work to keep our roads safe. We're going to support social workers who help out those who are most vulnerable. We're going to be there for them. But these public services that we rely on, that build a better society, there's a threat to those public services. There's a big problem. And I want to put to you, one of the major problems is this, that not everyone is paying their fair share. It's true. We have a system in Canada, in fact around the world, that is rigged. A system where those at the very top continue to enjoy more and more advantages. They have loopholes. That means that they hide their money. They're not paying their fair share. And when they don't pay their fair share, they starve our system of the crucial funding we need to deliver the services that people need. And one of the ways that the wealthiest, the people at the very top, are hiding their money, one of the ways that the richest Canadians are not paying their fair share are tax havens. Now, these tax havens are costing Canadians billions of dollars. We had a recent study pointed out that tax havens alone account for $25 billion of revenue that we're losing. $25 billion a year. Now, I want to make something really clear. This isn't just a chance. This hasn't just happened because. This is a choice that Mr. Trudeau and the Liberal government and previous Conservative governments have made. They have chosen to give the rich and powerful these loopholes. You know the powerful thing about choice? If they chose to let the richest off the hook, then we can choose to make sure they pay their fair share. Friends, there's another choice. There's another choice that Mr. Trudeau has made. Another choice that Liberals have made. And it's a choice that they made when it comes to the environment. They purposely chose to speak and say nice words about the environment during the 2015 election. Mr. Trudeau went on and on about how important the environment is, how important it was to tackle the climate crisis. He gave beautiful words, pretty words, but they amounted to what? Empty promises. And that was a choice that he made. He chose to talk about the environment, but then buy a pipeline. He chose to talk about the importance of fighting climate crisis, and then exempted the biggest polluters from paying their fair share. He promised in 2015 to end fossil fuel subsidies, but he has continued to subsidize that sector. Now, we have a plan. We have a plan that says we don't have to choose between the economy and the environment. To the young people that went out to the streets in communities across our country, perhaps in your communities, here in Montreal, 500,000 young people took to the streets demanding action. Now, normally it works the other way around, right? Normally it's the adults who tell the kids what you have to do. But in this instance, young people said, we're afraid. We look at the future and we don't know what it holds. We look at the future and we see a lot of despair, a lot of uncertainty. And they demanded action. And they demanded that the government do something. And in face of that, Mr. Trudeau has turned his back on them. Mr. Trudeau chose the powerful. We choose young people. We choose their future. We choose supporting them. We choose the planet. We choose the environment. We believe we can build hundreds and thousands of jobs in the fight against the climate crisis. And we are going to do it together. And that's why our plan is a plan to build 300,000 jobs. We're going to retrofit homes. We're going to end the fossil fuel subsidies and reinvest into clean and renewable. We're going to tell our kids that we're going to be there for them. And we're going to fight with every ounce of our skill to build an economy that leaves no worker behind, that leaves no kids behind. We're going to choose their future, and we're going to do it together, my friends. Les néo-démocrates ont un plan. Je sais que chacun d'entre vous fait déjà votre part. Vous faites déjà des choix intelligents pour notre planète. Je pense que c'est maintenant le temps d'avoir un gouvernement à Ottawa qui va lui aussi faire sa part. Nous allons montrer l'exemple sur la scène internationale. Nous allons être un champion mondial de fabrication de véhicules électriques. Quand vous ouvrez la lumière, nous allons nous assurer que l'électricité vient d'énergie propre. Nous allons nous assurer que vos déplacements pour aller travailler sont plus écologiques. Et nous allons nous assurer que les bâtiments sont éco-énergétiques de Victoria et Saint-Jean. Ils doivent faire partie de la solution et non du problème climatique. Ouais. Et quand nous allons mettre en action notre plan, nous allons nous assurer de ne pas laisser tomber personne. Now, I'm sure you start to notice this, that there's two Justin Trudeaus. There's the Justin Trudeau we see in public, and there's a Justin Trudeau that does different things in private. There's a Justin Trudeau in 2015, who again promised a whole bunch of things that were supposed to make people's lives better. And there's a 2019 version of Mr. Trudeau who just breaks those commitments and makes excuses. Someone who goes behind closed doors and makes deals with the powerful to protect their profits over helping people out. I want to talk about electoral reform. Do you know how many times he mentioned electoral reform in the last campaign? Many, it's true. It's a good guess. 1,800 times. We actually counted it. 1,800 times he promised that there would be reform. Did he deliver it? He didn't deliver it because he learned that what people wanted was proportional representation, and that wouldn't help him. That wouldn't keep power for him and his party. So he chose to abandon it. Now, he fought against Mr. Harper. He criticized Mr. Harper again and again. He promised to change Mr. Harper's war on the environment, and he promised to fight the climate change. And guess why he abandoned that promise after 4 years? He abandoned his promise to do something as simple as ending fossil fuel subsidies. Why was it that he broke that promise? Well, he met with oil and gas lobbyists. His government met with them over 1,500 times in 4 years. Just imagine how many meetings that meant a week. His government met with the powerful at the very top, and instead of listening to those kids who are demanding action, he listened to the powerful, wealthy corporations, the oil and gas sector, and he continues to subsidize billions of dollars to the fossil fuel sector. He continues to exempt the biggest polluters, and he bought a pipeline. Again, these are choices he's making. This isn't just something that happened by chance. These are choices he's making because he's working for the powerful. He's not working for you. And then he promised something else. He promised to be an ally for working people. He promised to be an ally for labor unions. And you know how that ended. Our good friends, the postal workers, were putting forward some action, demanding fairness on two fronts. They wanted to make sure their workers weren't injured, because postal workers were injured 5 times more often than the average for a federal worker. And rural workers were often women, and they were paid less. And they said, we want to be paid fairly. Instead of helping out those workers, what he did was he forced them back to work. He legislated them back to work in the worst way possible. He didn't even allow for debate. He actually did it worse than Mr. Harper, if you can imagine that. And then on top of that, his finance minister and Mr. Trudeau together tried to attack, well, they did attack workers' pensions. They attacked the most vulnerable. People, when they retire, hoping to have dignity, he attacked their livelihoods. He attacked their pensions. Same. On top of that, when our brothers and sisters at Sears faced a massive bankruptcy, the bankruptcy laws meant that workers had no priority. That instead, rich financiers and banks, they got all the priority. Well, what did he do? Nothing. He let them get away with it. I can tell you what our plan is. Our plan is this. We know that if you want to earn a good living, if you want a ticket to the middle class, joining a union is the best way to do it. On top of that, if workers who spend their whole life working hard and sacrificing for a company see that company by chance go into a situation where they're going bankrupt, well, we are going to change the laws that instead of being at the lowest priority, we are going to ensure that workers are the first priority, that their benefits, their wages, their salaries are protected, that their pensions are protected, because we stand up for workers. We got you. Got a little carried away here. I'm just going to ask my friends to roll back a little bit. Now, this time along, he again promises to do something on medication. And we saw in 2015 he made a promise. He promised to lower the cost of medications. A simple promise that would have meant lower costs for families. The promise was this. He said, the board that sets the prices for medication asked for a new list of countries. Just a simple thing. A list of countries. With a new list, they would be able to set prices for medications lower. It would save families thousands of dollars. Mr. Trudeau promised to do that in 2015. 4 years later, he didn't do it. Again, we wondered, why wouldn't he do something as simple as just giving a list of countries? It required a legislative change, but giving this list of countries would have allowed our review board that sets prices for medication to lower the cost. Why wouldn't he do something as simple as that? Why wouldn't he help out families that are struggling because medication is so costly? Well, the reason is this. In those 4 years while Mr. Trudeau was in government, his government met with the pharmaceutical lobbyists and the insurance lobbyists. You want to guess how many times? Many is a good answer as well. Many. No, that's a little too many. I wouldn't be surprised though, but over the past 4 years, 875 times or more. And so after 4 years, Mr. Trudeau again chose to protect the profits of the pharmaceutical industry over families who are struggling with the cost of medication. This was a choice he made, not again by chance. This didn't just happen, he chose. And now again, he's promising to do what he said he would do before. And how can we believe him now? Do you believe him now? Hell no. It's making my best follow-up person there. You're my hype person. I'm going to have you at all my speeches. Round of applause for her. And now he says that he's going to bring in place pharmacare. Let's be really clear. He has no plan to bring in pharmacare. He has no plan to make sure we have a universal public system to deliver medication for all. But I can tell you something, that I'm different from Mr. Trudeau. The difference is Mr. Trudeau works for the powerful, he works for the pharmaceutical companies, he works for the lobbyists, he listens to them whenever they say. I don't listen to them, I don't work for them, I work for all of you. And because I work for all of you, I'm going to make sure if you need medication in this country, you use your health card, not your credit card. That everyone gets access to medication in our country. Universal, public, pharmacare for all. Donc, Justin Trudeau a juré qu'aucune relation n'était plus importante que sa relation avec les peuples autochtones. Nous savons depuis des décennies que l'eau à Gracineros est polluée par le mercure et que ça détruit des vies. Mais quand M. Trudeau s'est fait interpeller à ce sujet par une militante de la communauté à une activité de financement, qu'est-ce qu'elle a fait? Il s'est moqué d'elle. Et juste la semaine dernière, Justin Trudeau a décidé de traîner les enfants des Premières Nations devant les tribunaux. Une fois de plus, au lieu d'accepter le jugement qui dit que le gouvernement a fait preuve de discrimination contre des enfants autochtones, il a décidé de le contester. Ce n'est pas comme ça qu'on mène une relation de réconciliation. Et cette fois, ils n'attendent même pas que l'élection soit finie pour commencer à briser ces promesses. Les libéraux parlent d'une nation ce médicament depuis 22 ans. 22 ans! Et Justin Trudeau nous a vraiment fait croire que cette fois-ci, ça serait différent. Encore une fois, il a dit tout ce qu'il fallait dire et nous a fait croire en ses promesses. Jusqu'à temps que son gouvernement rencontre les grandes pharmaceutiques de les compagnies d'assurance et leurs lobbyistes plus de 475 fois. 475 réunions en cachette. And that's what we get from Mr. Trudeau. Lots of pretty words, but no action. 22 years of promising to act on pharmacare, but no acting. Again, he protects the profits of the big pharma, and he hurts families. And I don't want to talk about why pharmacare is so important. I'm going to give you a couple examples of why it matters so much to me, and it should matter to all of us. I remember I met a young kid, 10 years old, and he lives with a chronic illness. And as a result of this illness, he's got to take medication, he's got to take pills, injections, and he told me, I got to be on top of all of this, and if I don't, I might die, so I got to be very careful. And I was a little taken aback how casually he was talking about the fact that he might die, and he said, no, don't worry about me, I'm okay. He's a 10-year-old kid, he was really confident. Don't worry about me, I'm okay, I can handle this. I know what to do, I can take my medication. I got to take a lot of medication, and I got a lot of injections. So I'm worried about how much it costs my mom and dad. He's a 10-year-old kid, and he's worried about being a burden to his parents. I met a young woman. Her whole life she was healthy, had no need for health care or medication. She was really healthy. And then she got late onset type 1 diabetes. It's a genetic illness, and sometimes it happens late in life. And she thought I would never be someone who would need health care. But then she did. And she was doing her master's late in life. She was in her 20s, late 20s when it happened. And it meant that she had to start taking lots of medication to control her illness. And she had coverage. She said, I have coverage, but despite that, they don't cover all the medication that I need. And I've had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars just to stay alive. And it's one of her stresses, one of the things she's worried about. She's got a good job. She's graduated with her master's degree. She works hard, but she's worried about how much it costs. I met seniors at the doorsteps when I was knocking on doors after Mark Hancock was helping me out. And I met a couple at the door. Two folks, a husband and wife, and they told me that their biggest concern was the cost of medication. And they said they had coverage, both of them, but they had health issues, and their coverage was one that required a $2,500 deductible each. So they had to spend $5,000 as a family before their coverage would kick in. Now, Mr. Scheer says that 95% of Canadians have coverage. Well, with coverage like that, it's really not coverage. You know, and Mr. Trudeau tells these people, tells these families, oh, just wait 4 years. Just wait. It's going to be fine in 4 years. Maybe we'll get around to it. Maybe we'll do another study. Another study that says the same thing, that we need public, national pharmacare for all. We're telling folks we are not going to wait 4 years. That little kid, I'm going to tell him I'm not going to wait anymore to stop feeling like a burden. I'm going to make sure that young woman doesn't feel the pain of having to afford her medication. That senior couple, I'm going to say to them, we're going to make sure you get the medication you need. Because our commitment is universal pharmacare for all. We believe in it. We're going to make it happen. But we're not going to end there. We know that people want healthcare that covers them from head to toe. Healthcare that's there for them when they need it. And Mr. Trudeau put in place the cuts that Mr. Harper planned for, but between Conservatives and Liberals, they've been cutting investments in healthcare for decades. There used to be a 50-50 split. That 50-50 split has now gone to 25-75. That means provincial governments have lost half of what they used to receive in funding. No wonder emergency rooms are packed up, because decisions have been made by Conservative and Liberal governments to make things harder for people. They made it easier for the richest, but harder for people who need health care. And so what I want to say to you is, not only are we going to ensure that there's universal pharmacare for all, but for people who go to the hospital because their tooth is hurting, because they've got a problem with their dental health. We know that you can go into the hospital and get open heart surgery, but if you go in with a problem with your teeth, they give you a painkiller and send you home. It makes no sense in a healthcare system that you can cover such complicated procedures, but they don't cover those procedures that people need for their teeth, for their dental health. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to put in place a universal dental care program that covers every single person in our country. But we're going to start immediately with a plan, a publicly delivered government insurance plan that covers 4 million Canadians. Those who earn $70,000 or less will be immediately covered by 2020 with our plan. We can achieve this. This is going to save thousands of dollars for families. It's going to make a massive difference in their life, and we can get it done. C'est un plan pour garder les gens en santé et pour enlever de la pression sur nos hôpitaux. C'est aussi, I'm going to wait for you guys to get your earphones back on. You got it? This is good stuff in French. C'est aussi un plan pour que la vie coûte moins cher. Avec l'assurance médicaments entièrement publique, les ménages vont épargner en moyenne $500 par année, même si vous avez déjà une couverture d'assurance. Et notre programme pour les soins dentaires pourrait sauver aux familles de la classe moyenne environ $1,200 par année. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, how are you going to pay for this? How are you going to pay for universal pharmacare? How are you going to pay for this dental care program? Well, I'm going to give you a quick example. In the past year, Mr. Trudeau made the following promises, or made the following spending commitments. He bought a pipeline which cost $4.5 billion. In the fall economic statement, he gave $14 billion away to the richest corporations to buy private jets and limousines. He also said to the richest corporations that owed the government $6 billion in loans, he said, you know what, you're forgiven. He forgave $6 billion in corporate loans. You right? This is $25 billion in spending, and not a cent of it went to families. Every single dollar went to the wealthiest Canadians, those at the very, very top, the wealthiest corporations. Now, our plan that would immediately cover over 4 million Canadians who don't have coverage for dental care, our plan to cover those 4 million Canadians would cost less than $1 billion, $856 million. That means Mr. Trudeau, in 1 year, spent 25 times more than our one plan to cover 4 million Canadians for the dental care. So it's a matter of choices. That's one. But we're also going to ask those at the very top to pay a little bit more. We're going to tax multi-millionaires. We're going to ask those who have fortunes of over $20 million to pay a little more. With our super wealth tax, we're going to raise $70 billion. We're going to close tax loopholes. We're going to end tax breaks for the biggest corporations. We're going to truly make sure that the richest pay their fair share. Now, Mr. Trudeau is going to say, oh, you can't do this. How can you pay for pharmacare? How can you pay for dental care? Well, I'm going to say to Mr. Trudeau, your finance minister used offshore tax havens. Your current Treasury Board president has used offshore tax havens. 2 of your top cabinet ministers have used offshore tax havens. How can you tell Canadians that we don't have enough to pay for pharmacare, for dental care, if 2 of your most powerful cabinet ministers aren't paying their fair share? We're going to say they have to pay their fair share. We're going to end offshore tax havens and reinvest into people. We're not going to work for the powerful, we're going to work for the people. We're going to ask the richest to pay their fair share, my friends. Mon plan, c'est d'aider les gens à bâtir une meilleure qualité de vie. De l'autre côté, vous avez Justin Trudeau qui a investi 19% de moins dans le logement que Stephen Harper. Il faut la faire. Et il n'a rien fait pour empêcher la flambée des coûts de l'habitation au Canada. Je ne veux pas voir des jeunes obligés de quitter les quartiers où ils ont grandi. C'est pourquoi les néo-démocrates vont construire 500 000 nouveaux logements sociaux et abordables que les gens peuvent se payer. Et en plus, nous allons créer une allocation logement pour donner aux Canadiennes et Canadiens un répit pouvant atteindre 5 000. And we have a plan to make sure we look after the people who looked after us, our seniors. Now, CUPE members, you are on the front lines of this crisis. You've seen the impacts of liberal and conservative cuts and inaction firsthand. What that means for our seniors is reduced hours of care, families stretched to the limit, seniors who have to wait for help while workers are run off their feet. To deliver better, we will create a national standard for long-term care that ensures residents get the hours of care and the quality of care they need and deserve. And we'll guarantee the funding is there to provide that care. And we'll enshrine the standards into the Canada Health Act so that no government can make cuts to long-term care funding levels ever again. I want to talk about something else that happens in long-term care homes. And it actually happens in hospitals and in healthcare centers and in schools as well. And that's violence against public service workers. I'm truly deeply sorry that this is an issue that I have to talk about. I'm sorry that you have to go through this and that your colleagues and your friends have gone through this. I'm sorry. But we can do a lot better. I know the solutions won't be easy. It's a complicated issue. But I've got to say, when governments ignore the problem, they only make the workplace less safe for everyone. And I truly believe you should not have to settle for that. I believe we can do more, and we will do more. We can develop protections, put in place awareness, make sure we take the steps necessary, that the inaction that we've seen for too long must end. We've got to take a strong stance. No worker should ever fear violence at the workplace. No worker should ever have to go through that. And my commitment to you is to work with you to find those solutions. Thank you. And thank you for all the work that you do. It's so incredibly important. Thank you. Now, in this election, there's going to be some people that are going to say that we've got to stop conservatives. And I agree. We've got to stop conservatives. They're going to say some things that are going to be appealing to some people. They're going to mention that they're going to put a few dollars in your pockets. They're going to say they're going to cut taxes. And we know that they certainly do cut taxes. The conservatives do that. They cut taxes mostly for the wealthiest, but they might cut some taxes that put some dollars in the pockets of families. But what else are they going to cut? They're going to cut all the services that your families need. They're going to cut health care and other public services, and it's going to cost families a lot more. And we got to be sure that we're vigilant. Don't let the conservatives' message punch through. Let's remind people, when they offer a couple of dollars in tax cuts, they're going to take hundreds of dollars away from you in services, and it's going to cost families a lot more. Families are going to end up paying a lot more. And we know what else conservatives do. We've got great or horrible examples of conservatives. We've got Mr. Ford in Ontario. Someone who's already shown what he does to families. He cuts the services they need, he cuts education, cuts health care. He cuts services to the most vulnerable, people with autism, autistic kids. He's also another Mr. Deny on the climate crisis. He doesn't get that there is one. So we know that that's something we've got to be vigilant against. And Mr. Scheer, of course, there's massive problems. He's someone who has anti-LGBTQ candidates. He's going to allow anti-choice candidates to run, and they already are running. You know, it's going to be pretty scary with Mr. Scheer. We know it's a problem. We know that he's going to cut services. He's going to challenge important rights. And that's why, to me, it's very concerning that Elizabeth May has said that her Green Party could live with all of that. She said that she's willing to support an Andrew Scheer government. And she can't Photoshop her words. This is what she said. She's also said that she would allow any Green Party member, any Green Party MP to vote however they want on any issue they want. She said this on TV, so she can't change the words. She said that she would not do anything to stop a Green Party MP that wanted to reopen the abortion debate. And she said, in fact, frankly, that's a good thing. Those are her words. And she certainly wouldn't insist that her MPs fight back to work legislation, because we can look to BC, where the Green Party fought against the NDP government when the NDP tried to make it easier to join a union. So we know, my friends, very clearly, the Green Party is no friend of Labour. They're not. But more importantly, when we don't help out working people, it hurts us all. And when we don't support supporting the fact that we need to make sure people can earn a good living and that we fight the climate crisis together, we know that it hurts everyone as well. And so I want to be very clear. I am running to be your Prime Minister, to be the Prime Minister of Canada, to bring in place change that puts people first, that supports the people that need it, that fights for working class people, for our brothers and sisters, not for the very rich. I'm working for all of you. But my friends, I obviously can't control the election. So if voters, if they choose a minority government, and some people say that might happen, if they choose a minority government, I want to make something really clear to you. Unlike Ms. May, who said that she would be willing to support the Conservatives, I've made it crystal clear that I will not support a Conservative government under any circumstance, not whatsoever. New Democrat members, stop Conservatives. We fight Conservatives. We stand up for you. Mes amis, je ne veux pas que les Canadiens se contentent de moins. Et je sais que nous n'avons pas à nous contenter de moins. Les élections, c'est un peu comme être à la table de négociation. Et je sais que les membres du SCFP savent comment ça marche. Vous savez que si nous acceptons moins maintenant, les choses vont être pires dans 4 ans. Encore plus des choses sur lesquelles on peut encore compter vont disparaître. À la table des négociations, accepteriez-vous des concessions qui nuiraient aux travailleuses et travailleurs? Non. Alors, n'acceptons pas des concessions d'honneur non plus. Now, Justin Trudeau wants you to settle for another 4 years of a government that makes life easier for multimillionaires and mega corporations and harder for the rest of us. Elections are always about choices. Mr. Trudeau chooses oil and gas lobbyists and buys a $4.5 billion pipeline. I choose a new deal for people and the climate. Trudeau helped multi-billion corporations stay out of court, but is dragging Indigenous kids into court. I choose reconciliation. Mr. Trudeau chooses to protect the profits of big drug and insurance companies. I choose the kids who need a dentist or need medication. Justin Trudeau chooses to give another $14 billion in new tax breaks to the biggest corporations. I choose to help people who don't know if they're ever going to be able to afford a home. Here's the thing, my friends. Time and time again, Mr. Trudeau chooses the wealthy and the powerful over you and your families. And now, he's asking you to choose you. He's asking you to choose him. He wants to scare you into choosing a government that doesn't work for working people. But I want to say to you all very clearly, there is another choice. We can build the country of our dreams if we have the courage to fight for more. Mr. Trudeau made his choice. I choose you. So I need your help in this election. Get out and vote this weekend. Make sure you make a plan to vote. Get out and support. Tell your friends they can choose a better way. If you're talking about options, tell them there is a new democratic way to go, my friends. Let's make this happen. Thank you, my friends. Thank you very much. We can choose different. We can get different results. Thank you.
Choosing you.
That's beautiful.
Well, Jagmeet, my friend, do you feel the love in the room?
Woo. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I love you, man.
Thank you, man.
And there's a lot of love here. There's 2,100 plus delegates here in this room. And I think they've shown you throughout the last hour how much they love you. And our union is now at 700,000 members across this country. And on behalf of them, on behalf of the National Executive Board, I want to thank you for everything that you're doing in this campaign, everything you've done for your years in public service. Thank you. And you know, I know you're a busy man. You've done an amazing job. I know you're busy. I wish you could spend some time here and teach me how to dance. I see there's a video up already. We'll work on that after the election when you get some. Yeah, right. But I know you got a lot of ground to cover. And you know, on behalf of us all, I have a couple small gifts. This gift is, I'm not sure what that is, but it's something really cool. Yes. But, you know, I also have a special gift of my own. It's a check made out in my name, a check made out to the NDP, and I want to put this towards the campaign to make sure that we do everything we can to make the best decision for our members, for Canadians, and elect you as the next Prime Minister of this country. Thank you so much, my friend.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, right. When the chorus hits, I want everyone to jump with me. Wait, keep on going this song. Yeah. When the chorus hits, it's going to say, "We're ready for the road." I want everyone to jump up and down. Okay, ready? We're going to get some exercise in. It's coming soon. Hold on. We're going to get Marc to dance and Charles Fleury. So we ready for the road? Ready? It's gonna come soon, I hope. Oh yeah, I feel it coming now. Here it goes.
Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now waking up. The atmosphere have vibes, and nothing can break it up. The girl them a wine non-stop, we had the drinks them in a my cup. We gonna party all night, all night. 24 parties we hit in a row. Tonight at the very last show, before we head out on the road. The girl them a release the load. So let me see your hands up, so everybody know, put your hands up, so if you're ready for the road, let your friend them know. We're ready for the road. We're ready for the road.
All right. Not bad. Okay, friends, I'm ready for your questions.
Oh, wow. Mr. Singh, Mike Lecouture from Global National. I wanted to ask you, Unifor in 2015 was clearly behind the NDP. They are not now. They have not come out and said vote for the NDP. Are you worried that the NDP is not the clear choice of all unions anymore?
Well, I want to put it to working class people this way. When it comes to the party that's going to stand up for working class people no matter what, it's New Democrats. Liberals made sure that they put back to work legislation in place for postal workers. New Democrats wouldn't do that. Mr. Trudeau chose to continue to favor wealthy financiers and banks when companies go bankrupt instead of the working class people. I would choose workers. Time and time again, Mr. Trudeau has chosen the powerful over the people. I can make it very clear, the New Democrats always choose the people.
I just wanted to follow up. Global
Yeah.
News had an exclusive story on cuts to military
Yes.
benefits and health spending. And I wanted to ask you, what's your reaction to it? But would the NDP restore the funding to military health services?
Yes, we would absolutely restore funding to those people that sacrifice their life, that put their life in danger to serve our country. At a minimum, they should be afforded the dignity to be able to have access to health care, to retire safely. We would ensure that they get the services they need. It's appalling that Mr. Trudeau on one side talk about being for people, and on the other side would cut services directly to those veterans that have served, those people in the forces that serve for us. On the same side, he criticizes Mr. Ford for cutting health care, but he himself is cutting health care to veterans, to soldiers, to people who serve in the Canadian forces. That is wrong.
Hi, it's Annie Bergeron-Oliver with CTV National News. Today, Mr. Scheer was at the Roxham Road border crossing and said his government would not only close what he called the loopholes in the Safe Third Country Agreement, he would move existing immigration and refugee board judges to common illegal border crossing points, speeding up the process and making it less attractive to enter Canada illegally. How would you deal with this issue, and what would you do with the Safe Third Country Agreement?
So he's talking about loopholes. I would suspend the agreement. By suspending the agreement, people would not need to cross irregularly. These are people that are fleeing death. They're fleeing persecution. And in the States, they're fleeing the fact that Mr. Trump has been putting kids in cages, has been stripping babies out of the arms of their mothers. Of course they're afraid. And they're fleeing what they know is a scary situation in the States. And so right now they have no other recourse but to cross irregularly. If we suspended the Safe Third Country, acknowledging that it is not safe for refugees or people fleeing persecution in the States, then we could assure that they could cross normally and then have access to all the same just application of the law that anyone else who's fleeing persecution or death.
Okay. It's been said that roughly 70% of Quebecers support Bill 21, and you said that you wouldn't intervene, but this morning on French radio, you talked about your desire and the necessity to change the minds of Quebecers who support that bill. If you form government, how realistic is it that you'll be able to change the minds of that big block of Quebecers who support the bill, given that you'd only have 4 years?
One correction is I've been saying that since the beginning. I believe it's my job and something that I'm taking on as my responsibility to do everything I can to change the hearts and minds of people. The reality is, I'm a guy that wears a turban, yes, but I believe in the rights of women. I believe in the right to choose. I firmly believe in the rights of LGBTQ communities. I believe in same-sex marriage. I believe in the right to die with dignity. I believe in fighting the climate crisis. I believe in choosing people over powerful corporations. These are the values that many people in Quebec share as well. These are values that many people across Canada share. We got someone like Mr. Scheer who doesn't share these values. And he could become a teacher, he could become a police officer. It's about values. I believe in separating church and state, but the way we do that is by making sure we reinforce the rights of women. We reinforce the rights of the LGBTQ community. We ensure that people have access to rights. That's what we do, and that's what I'm going to do when I speak with people across Quebec and let them know we can build a better society when we don't divide, but when we bring people together.
Ashley Burke, CBC News. Unifor has said they're not beholden to any party, and this election they are doing strategic voting. So if Liberals have a better shot in a riding, they're saying, encouraging their members to go that route. What do you say to Unifor that's not fully backing you this time around?
Well, I'd say this to everybody. At the end of the day, look at what the Trudeau government does. They make choices Every single time they get a chance between people and the powerful, they choose the powerful. When it came to pharmaceutical companies, they didn't choose people, they chose the pharmaceutical companies. When it came to big insurance companies, they again chose the big insurance companies. When it came to postal workers that were fighting for basic fairness, they chose to legislate them back to work. They are no friend of labor. And what I say is, in life, if you do something because you're settling for less, if you vote out of fear, if you make a choice out of fear, how many times in your life has that resulted in something amazing happening? How many times has settling for less resulted in you achieving something big? I believe that if you want something big, if you want big changes, you want universal pharmacare, you got to take a chance on something you believe in. And to do that means taking a chance and having the courage to do so and vote for what you believe in. Vote for what your heart tells you. And I believe if people did that, not only would we have New Democrats elected, we could form government in this country.
La question était sur Unifor.
Oui, donc pour moi, la réponse est la même pour Unifor, c'est pour tous les gens qui travaillent. Ce que je dis, c'est ça. On peut regarder le bilan de Trudeau, de M. Trudeau et de son gouvernement. Ils ont choisi les puissantes entreprises au lieu des gens, souvent, tout le temps. Si on parle de l'assurance médicaments, ils ont choisi de protéger les profits des grandes compagnies pharmaceutiques au lieu d'aider des familles. Avec les gens qui travaillent dans Canada Post, ils ont choisi de leur légiférer au lieu de leur donner les droits de contester une inégalité qui existe avec leurs travailleurs et travailleuses. Donc, ce que je dis, si on prend des décisions à cause de peur, combien de fois dans votre vie est-ce que vous avez réalisé quelque chose de grand, d'un grand changement? Et si vous prenez le courage de prendre un risque pour quelque chose que vous croyez, je pense que vous aurez réussi à atteindre quelque chose de grand dans votre vie.
What difference does the labor movement make for the NDP during an election?
Well, the working class people, labor movement are a big part of who we are. We're proud of the fact that we were founded by labor unions because working class people needed a party for them. They already knew that there's two parties out there for the rich. The richest Canadians, 100 of the richest families in Canada, 56 of them donate to the Liberal Party, and probably the rest to the Conservatives. They know that they've got the richest people in Canada have two parties working for them. Working class people know, everyday families know, they've got New Democrats working for them.
Français, s'il vous plaît.
Donc oui, les syndicats sont tellement importants. Ils étaient les fondateurs de notre mouvement, de notre parti. Et si on parle des autres partis, les plus riches Canadiens, les familles les plus riches, 100 familles les plus riches au Canada, entre ces 100 familles les plus riches, 56 familles donnent des fonds, fait des donations, donnent des fonds au Parti libéral. Les autres, peut-être, donnent les fonds aux conservateurs. Les plus riches savent que les conservateurs et les libéraux vont travailler pour eux. Mais monsieur, madame, tout le monde, les travailleurs et travailleuses savent, c'est nous, les néo-démocrates, qui travaillent pour eux.
Vous avez parlé tout à l'heure, Jérôme Labbé, Radio-Canada, vous avez parlé tout à l'heure devant le parterre du SCFP des propositions du Parti libéral, du Parti conservateur et même du Parti vert. Mais pas un mot sur le Bloc québécois. C'est pourtant le parti qui risque de vous gruger le plus de sièges au Québec, si on en croit les projections actuelles. Pourquoi ignorez-vous le Bloc québécois?
Donc, le contraste est clair pour quelqu'un qui veut avoir un partenaire qui peut travailler avec les progressistes du Canada et tenir les mains des progressistes du Québec et ensemble travailler pour avoir un avenir plus brillant, c'est nous les néo-démocrates. Donc, ce contraste est clair, mais je veux s'assurer que les gens qui ont peur des conservateurs, que les libéraux n'ont pas le choix, et les Verts, ils ne sont pas les amis des travailleurs et travailleuses.
No, not one word on the Bloc today. Why not?
Well, it's clear the contrast. What we offer is we're a party that can work with the progressives in Quebec and the progressives across Canada, working together to bring in things like action on the climate crisis, bringing in universal pharmacare for all, investing in housing. But I wanted to make it clear, the Liberals are going to ask you to settle for less. The Conservatives are going to make life worse. The Liberals are telling you that the status quo is good enough. And the Green Party is no friend of labor. They're no friend of working class people. And I wanted to make that clear.
Yves-François Blanchette a laissé entendre hier que l'opposition de tous les partis à la loi québécoise sur la laïcité de l'État, y compris le NPD, risque de raviver les braises de la souveraineté. Est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous gardez en tête lorsque vous vous adressez aux Québécois et que vous prenez position contre des lois votées à l'Assemblée nationale?
Pour moi, c'est clair, les lois qui discriminent n'ont aucune place dans notre société. Donc, c'est évidemment contre des lois qui divisent. Je pense d'une femme ici au Québec, ici à Montréal, qui a étudié à Ottawa pour devenir enseignante. Et après, elle est devenue enseignante. Elle a retourné ici au Québec pour trouver qu'il y a une loi qui dit qu'elle ne peut pas devenir enseignante au Québec. Elle a dû demeurer en Colombie-Britannique et ça me rend triste. Donc, je veux toujours montrer que les lois qui divisent la population, ils font mal à la société et j'ai aucune peur de dire ça. C'est le droit des gens pour s'ils veulent faire ses choix. Pour moi, je veux garder le Canada ensemble. Je pense qu'on peut faire plus ensemble. Donc, c'est mes valeurs d'écouter les inquiétudes des gens au Québec pour s'assurer qu'on reste ensemble. Ça, c'est ma priorité. Et ce que je pense, c'est complètement possible si on travaille ensemble.
Hi, I'm Benedict Moran with PBS NewsHour, which
Where
is
you at, man? Give me a wave.
Which is an American news program.
Yes.
How would you rate Justin Trudeau's relationship with the White House over the past 4 years, and how would you do things differently?
Well, I think he hasn't stood up for Canadians. We have a trade deal that he put in place that was worse off for Canada, where the price of medication is going to go up. He makes it harder for dairy farmers in Canada. And all the protections he talked about to protect workers and the environment, none of them are enforceable. So he rushed to sign a deal that Mr. Trump wanted, but the people of the United States also had a problem with it. They elected new Democrats in the Congress who are fighting to make those laws actually enforceable, those protections enforceable. So I believe we have to work with the Democrats who are working to make sure that our trade agreement is fair for workers. We've got some of the best workers in the world, but they can't compete if the playing field isn't level. And what we want to make sure is we support the Democrats in the states that are saying we got to put in place protections and make the protections enforceable. That's what we want to do.
Pascal Robida pour le réseau d'information de Radio-Canada. Vous avez pas de misère à vous affirmer sur vos convictions en matière d'avortement, d'aide médicale à mourir. Quelle est votre opinion? Est-ce que vous êtes pour ou contre la désobéissance civile pour la cause de l'environnement, M. Singh?
Donc, ce que j'ai dit avant, c'est je comprends la frustration des jeunes. Les jeunes ont peur pour leur avenir. Et je comprends cette frustration et cette colère. Je pense que beaucoup de monde, quand on a colère, nous sommes fâchés, on ne prend pas des décisions prudentes, mais c'est à cause de la frustration. Donc, je comprends ça.
Est-ce que vous accepteriez qu'un membre du NPD ou un candidat fasse de la désobéissance civile pour l'environnement?
Je comprends pourquoi quelqu'un veut faire ça. Parce que le manque de leadership au niveau de libéraux, de premiers ministres, les gens sont fâchés de ça. Les jeunes étaient dans les rues. 500 000 jeunes ont demandé des actions. Et au lieu des actions, on a un gouvernement libéral, un premier ministre Trudeau qui a acheté un pipeline, qui continuait de donner des exemptions pour les grands pollueurs, qui continuait de subventionner le secteur pétrolier. Donc les gens sont fâchés. Les jeunes en particulier sont fâchés. Je comprends ça.
Simon Lévy-Lorange de La Presse. Vous avez dit tantôt pendant la fin de votre speech que vous engagiez à ne pas supporter un gouvernement minoritaire conservateur. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire concrètement? Vous allez juste voter contre vous allez bloquer tous leurs projets de loi? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire concrètement après le 21 octobre?
Donc, c'est un contraste clair entre notre position et celle de Mme May. Mme May a dit qu'elle est prête de travailler avec les conservateurs pour que M. Scheer puisse devenir le Premier ministre. Ce que j'ai dit, je ne travaille pas avec les conservateurs pour qu'ils puissent devenir le gouvernement. Je suis contre ça. Je n'ai jamais appuyé un gouvernement conservateur. Je veux devenir le Premier ministre, mais si les Canadiens et Canadiennes choisissent un gouvernement minoritaire, je ne vais jamais appuyer un Premier ministre conservateur.
En fait, vous n'avez pas vraiment répondu à ma question. en chambre, là, disons, vous êtes élu, votre parti a X nombre de sièges, les conservateurs ont un gouvernement minoritaire. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? Vous allez systématiquement voter contre. Et qu'en serait-il si c'était un gouvernement libéral?
Donc, en fait, c'est une question juridique, mais quand on a des votes, oui, on va voter contre tous les projets des conservateurs, oui, évidemment. Mais en plus, c'est une question de confiance pour maintenir le gouvernement. On va absolument pas appuyer le gouvernement. On va s'assurer que le gouvernement tombe. C'est notre engagement de jamais aider M. Scheer de créer un gouvernement conservateur. Si les Canadiens choisissent un gouvernement minoritaire, on ne va jamais aider M. Scheer de devenir un premier ministre au lieu de Mme May elle a dit qu'elle est ouverte à faire ça. Ça, c'est la grande différence. Mais on a dit qu'on peut travailler. Si je suis le premier ministre dans un gouvernement minoritaire, je peux travailler avec tous les autres partis, sauf, j'ai dit clairement, les conservateurs. I made it really clear before, and this contrast is very important, that Ms. May has said that she would be willing to work with the Conservatives, a party that cuts services for health care, that makes it harder for families, a party that is open to reopening the debate on abortion, that does not support same-sex marriage. She's made it clear that she's willing to negotiate with them to ensure that Mr. Scheer might become Prime Minister. I've made it clear that I would not do that I would not allow I would never support a Conservative government. I would never support Mr. Scheer becoming Prime Minister.
There are two groups that came out, Stand Earth and Generation Squeeze, that came out this morning with analysis on the party's climate plans. They both fault the NDP for failing to explain how it would reduce emissions. So can you explain exactly what mechanisms you'd use to reduce emissions and how many megatons those mechanisms would cut?
So we're in line with the IPCC report, which requires us to reduce emissions to keep in line with 1.5 degrees. As the science changes, we will adjust to ensure that we are following all the evidence. That evidence effectively means we've got to reduce our emissions by more than half, and we are prepared to do that. We have listed a number of key commitments that will get us almost all the way there, and for the rest of the way, we will work with, as new technologies emerge, we will work with the evidence that's there to ensure that we get all the way. Our commitment is this. When we look at young people, when we see them with hopelessness in their eyes, I want to let them know that I will fight with every ounce of my being and every tool at my disposal to make sure we ensure young people have a clean environment to inherit, that they have a bright future. I will do everything it takes.
Canadians are already heading to the polls on campus in
Where
advance.
you at?
I'm back here.
Hi.
I'm hidden. Hi, sorry. Canadians are already heading to the polls on campus, and advanced polls start tomorrow. You have released some costing by the PBO for certain aspects of your platform, but I'm wondering when you'll be able to tell Canadians exactly how much your full platform will cost and how much the platform will add to the deficit annually or over the 4 years.
We can release the exact date to you. I'll have my team follow up with you, but yes, we will be releasing costing of our commitments. I'll give you those details, but we will be releasing it.
Liberal MP Judy Sgro came out with she was in an interview that said her constituents in the Black community told her how much more they love the MP, love the Prime Minister, and wanted to have, because he wanted to wear blackface and took pride in that. What do you say to that video?
It is ludicrous for Ms. Sgro to suggest that. It is embarrassing and it is shameful that she would suggest that people like Mr. Trudeau more because he did blackface. That shows a massive disconnect between the Liberal Party and, in fact, Mr. Trudeau and what real people are living and what they're experiencing. It is shameful that she said something like that. Okay, thank you, everybody. Merci tout le monde. Je suis ici pour les photos. And thank you, everybody. It was awesome. You're amazing. Thank you, thank you. Oh, hey.